So this is my first tier list and that I'm doing this weekend. I never did one of these. I wasn't even planning to do a tier list for any sort of game. And for my tier list, I want to just be able to do something with three different sort of tiers with most likely and possible and less likely characters. So hopefully y'all can see me. So I'm gonna probably try to get this out today and for Sunday. So I was gonna originally probably stream the game, but I just thought I decided to come out with this tier list. It took a while just to put together a list of characters, and this tier list could be a lot bigger than what it is right now from what you guys can see on the screen here, and you guys can react to it how you want to, and you can make your own little tier list from mine if you want to react to it. If you want to share some of the characters that you think belong in a different category, you can, or maybe someone that you might want to see added into this tier list that belongs. But I didn't want to make it too long of a tier list. It's several characters, and even some characters that I meant to put on the tier list. But as I was adding the pictures, some of the faces was cut off. Some of the faces were cut off and sliced off, so they were like missing their heads. It's like someone cut their heads off. So I just did it. I'm still gonna have the list in the description, so you guys don't have to watch the full video if you don't want to. And if you want to find out the other characters that's missing from the tier list, it's already going to be listed in the description as well. Just copy paste it. But I wanted to do it this way. I was going to just record the game and just talk about the characters that way, but I wanted to do it this way anyway, so that way everybody can see and just save the image and just do it in this sort of kind of format. So hopefully you guys still enjoy it this way. But I'm just going to go through it from top to bottom, and I'm not sure how long this video is going to be. There could be a lot of other shows that get represented, or some other shows that deserve to get in the sequel if it's happening. I still don't know what's happening as far as a sequel, if it's going to be some kind of real thing, but I'm just going to stick to the middle, see what they say, and wait for an announcement. Maybe we'll probably get a reveal trailer at some point, maybe this week, maybe even next week by sometime, since we're already up in July now. So I think it's about time they can definitely be able to reveal something. It's no use in waiting until September when all these other games are getting announced, and they can build some hype for the game to get people excited, and they can show us what kind of characters are going to be in it, similar to how the showcase that they did. Well, each day being a separate character leading up to the release and more. See how they did that with Patrick, SpongeBob, Reptar, and we get to see how some of these characters play. Or if not, they can do different teaser posts of what's going to be new in the game. Just a different take, a different route that they can do outside of just the character showcases, but just some ideas. So maybe we'll get a reveal trailer at some point. But we're going to go ahead and get started. I just wanted to say a couple things beforehand. And with SpongeBob has a lot of different characters, and even I just went in the order. So something that you'll notice is that from the picture positions are representations of each individual Nickelodeon show or different shows from the NCU that can get into the game. And I didn't want to just scramble the characters all over the place like I did at the bottom from just different things. You guys can be able to see the different shows in order, so it's not scrambled. It's nice and organized for everybody to be able to see what characters are going to be from who, or which characters are going to be from where, and that way you guys don't get lost and all over the place. Well, Raphael's over here, and then let's say Adora Explore's down there, and then Jimmy Neutron is in a different area, and then I switched to a Fairly Odd Parents character like that. I wanted to go in just each order from different worlds, take characters from that same show or that particular universe and add it. With SpongeBob, just to start this off, we got Squidward, Mr. Krabs, and then Karen and Plankton. I think they definitely deserve to be a duo, and I'm not sure what they're gonna really probably do with Plankton, but I know some of you guys are saying, well, Plankton can be in a mech, and it made me think of this game, Marvel vs. Capcom. If you guys play Mega Man Legends, Tron Bonne, one of the Bonds from the Bond family from Mega Man Legends. I missed that game. From the original PlayStation series, it's one of my favorites. Tron Bonne was a playable character in Marvel vs. Capcom, that 3v3 fighting game, and they put Tron Bonne, or Miss Tron, in the mech from the Pirates to be playable. They can probably do something similar to that matter with Plankton, but the mech being Karen. So she can have her own little voice lines and be able to react during the fight, and then Plankton can be controlling her. See what I'm saying? So I thought that when Plankton comes to mind, he shouldn't be like a solo fighter. Hopefully they'll be able to add in Karen to get involved, and they're a duo, and it's another villain that could be iconic and represented from the place from SpongeBob's world to take place into the roster to be able to have a good placement for more villains to stack up alongside a Shredder. So you got Squidward, Mr. Krabs, just as I mentioned. I'm just gonna try to go through it as quick as possible so it doesn't drag on. But Squidward, I think I can definitely see being added into the game. Mr. Krabs could be in there throwing his money at people. It'll be funny just to see that. But I don't know how he's going to be able to play if they add him into the game. But I definitely want to see him in just throwing, he can use his money and just different, his laugh. He's trying to do it. He's like, arr, 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 arr. He can do something like that for his voice lines. It's going to be fun just to see him in it. And then even Squidward's laugh, for example. So I'll just be laughing throughout the street. Just doing the voice lines and imitating them every time, just playing the game. But it's, you see how much fun you can the developers can do just to be creative behind that. They can definitely be able to add those little voice lines. So hopefully some of those SpongeBob characters get in. There's other characters that they can get in outside of that with potential. Larry the Lobster, the lifeguard, where he's always flexing, something like that. It'll be cool to see him added. And then some other villains like Man Ray, Dirty Bubble, and Doodle Bob is another character I would like to see. So they have plenty of options when it comes to some of these shows, and not even just the SpongeBob SquarePants world or the TV show in general. Just to start with, they have plenty of other different options that they can take from different villains, from protagonists, antagonists, and so much more. But now we're going to move on to TMNT, and one thing that's different about Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl is the fact that we only got Leonardo and Michelangelo on the roster. I have never seen a game that's just only has two of the turtles added into the game, while other games already have just all the different characters added into the roster. They have all four turtles. From the Kart Racers game, there's not one without the other. So this one, I still don't know how they make those decisions. So hopefully they don't do the same thing for the upcoming sequel if there is one. So say if it's a sequel, it gets announced and we only get Raphael and Donatello, and then Leonardo and Michelangelo are missing. See how different that'll be? So hopefully they don't do something like that. I want to see all four of the turtles. I feel like just outside of just SpongeBob, TMNT has a lot of different reps, and all these other shows that you guys can see from this tier list I made, they can be able to add all those different characters from the shows. And that's why I added in, I know it's a little bit smaller, I added Usagi and Master Splinter and Karai, and also Casey Jones, that I think can also be a potential fighter. And the crazy thing is, with the upcoming DLC with TMNT Shredder's Revenge, with Usagi being a new story DLC, and then also a playable character, from Shredder's Revenge, we have 7 characters, so maybe this game could have potentially 7 different reps. It is too many, but I don't want them to have too many, have characters cut out like April and Shredder, who are really good fighters and characters and likable characters from the worlds, from the show itself, with all this ability and potential. The more, the better. So I really hope they don't cut anything, they don't do anything to April or Shredder and just end up kicking them out of the roster, and then they're not even playable anymore. But I just added, outside of just Raphael and Donatello being guaranteed and most likely to be in this roster, Usagi, I thought since they added a DLC, it's not nothing stopping them from snagging him to being added into a sequel as maybe a potential DLC character, or he could possibly be an unlockable character from the game itself, from just playing the game. So hopefully they get Usagi and they don't leave Donatello in the dust, in the Shadow Realm, I'll say, and just leave him out and not even get him into the game and only have Raphael. What if they do something like this? Leonardo, Michelangelo, and Raphael, and then Donatello is missing while we get April and all the others. Hopefully they don't do something like that. But he's just as good, just even with a deserving character with these TMNT, just all the shows. And I didn't even throw in the villains like, Bebop and Rocksteady that I put into my list as well that you guys will be able to see. And then, maybe Krang and some of the others can get into the game. Han from the I think it was from the Dragon Clan or Purple Dragons. Someone had to clarify, because I thought it was from the Dragon Clan. From the Purple Dragons, no one really talks about him and some other characters that have. It just goes on and on with the villains. we're gonna move on to the Avatar Last Airbender characters. We only got Aang and Toph so far, and then if you want to count Korra, she's only from her own show though, but she's still her own avatar or the newest avatar right now. But I slipped in Zuko and Firelord Ozai, and I think Zuko is definitely guaranteed to be in this game because he's in Kart Racers 3, and then Ozai was also in the game as well. But even though he wasn't a playable racer, he's a crew member. So I think that'll be more of an ideal that the developers can get. They can get Zuko, maybe even Azula that I also added into my list. Even though you can't see her, I just ended up picking a different picture that was too big, and parts of her hair was missing from the picture, so I guess it was too big for the tier list. And just some other characters that you can see like Bessie in the middle at the bottom. But I want to see Zuko, Azula, and hopefully Katara and Sokka. I don't know if they're going to get anybody from the Water Tribe, but I think Sokka and Katara could be more than capable of being in this game for sure. For the Loud House, I haven't seen much of the show. Well, all the episodes, and some of y'all got all the episodes memorized and when exactly certain characters did this, that, and the other. Only picked 2 additional Loud members that could probably be able to get into the game. New additional ones from that I think can really be good fighters. Nothing against Lori and Lenny, the others, and all the and maybe Ronnie Ann possibly from the show, and maybe even Clyde. Some some people don't want to see him in the game, but I selected Lynn and Lana to be able to be playable as the new maybe potential most likely to be picked characters to be selected into the roster, because we only got Lincoln and Lucy Loud in the first game so far. On to Invader Zim, I got Dib and Professor Membrane. Especially, I want to see Professor Membrane because all the powers that he has and all the potential abilities, especially when it's as if he has his own little Kamehameha. From just seeing a little episode when he destroyed hundreds and hundreds of thousands of robots in one blast. So I would like to see that be one of his moves and one of his specials. Maybe it can be like one of his ultimate attacks if they decide to put that into the game. So 2 different members of Zone, and then one other situation that I'll share Gur's picture situation. I thought that maybe he could possibly be a potential fighter and a character that people can play as, but that's only if he's not included in Zim's moveset. Because see how you can bring him out? Grr! He can bring him out and summon him, similar to how similar to how Rocco can summon and bring out Spunky for a little bit of amount of time. If he's not in Zell's moveset, maybe Gur can also be playable too. And Tallest and maybe some others. Gas, I wouldn't even mind seeing, since she's already in the Kart Racers games. Why not make her a playable character? Now, the situation with Rugrats, I thought most likely, and I selected Angelica outside of Tommy and all the others. I don't see them getting into the game, but I think this is a game for Angelica to cause trouble. And I think I would honestly, I don't know, unpopular opinion, I do want to see Tommy get in. And I like Tommy more than Angelica, of course, because she's mean to the babies and all, but she's a really good character. And I think this is a game for her to shine for Angelica. And she's more ideal, in my opinion, because she's a little bit older than the others and the other characters in Rugrats. So maybe Rugrats can get another rep outside of just Reptar being its only single rep. Why not Angelica get into the game and be able to use her doll Cynthia as a lethal force to be able to cause ruckus? So I just wanted to see something like that. I just wanted to at least get one additional character for Rugrats. So on to Wild Thornberries, and it's just another individual rep. We only got Nigel Thornberry. So I selected Eliza. Why not her? She can't get in. And then other characters from Hey Arnold, we only got Helga. She's really a fighter. She's really a good character, so hopefully she could be able to make another return. I put in Arnold, as you can see in a little tiny picture. Arnold Shortman, and then Gerald from Hey Arnold series. And then I'm going to just throw in another one that I can think that could be fitting. Harold. I'll pound you. Why not Chocolate Boy? just for the fun of it. But it's just a little some ideas of what they can do. He can be a unique fighter, just throwing chocolate at people and things like that. Just a goofy fighter. But definitely Arnold and Gerald can be in the next game for sure. Danny Phantom, gotta say, he is most likely to get a lot more reps, and I definitely see Vlad Plasmius being one of them. He was supposed to be in the first game, and when I first heard about the game coming out from you guys, a new Nickelodeon fighting game is supposed to be coming out. I heard that the first original leaks, the real ones from the data mines, Vlad Plasmius was in the data mine, but he just never made it out. He never ended up coming out like I thought he was going to be. And I thought when they announced DLC outside of Garfield and Shredder, I thought Vlad Plasmius was going to be one amongst the first. Well, one of the first ones to come out after free DLC ended with Garfield and Shredder coming out and being added into the roster. But I definitely see him coming out in the next game, if there is one. Vlad Plasmius and some other ones to stack up with him for some real villains. Skulker, Ember, and then Evil Danny Phantom, or Evil Danny. I think he can be in the game. And then some others I like. Johnny 13 with Shadow, because he can be definitely the source. He's the key source of his power anyway, which being able to use his Shadow and bringing Shadow out to cause some trouble and onto the field. Freak Show, Technus, Spectra, it goes on and on with all the different villains that Danny Phantom has to deal with. There's way too many great characters to be able to not be able to get added for the sequel. Real monsters, we only got Ablina from the roster, a single rep. Why not Ickis? I think he's more than likely. And then going over to My Life as a Teenage Robot, why not Queen Vestas to come up in there to try to stop Jenny and finally probably get her to join the Cluster Prime? See what I'm saying? That'll be something fun. But we got characters like Jimmy Neutron. I think he's definitely guaranteed. And I'm not thinking about the leaks. He deserves to be in the first game, unlike some other ones, some other characters too that I can think of. Why not Jimmy Neutron? And then I'm gonna just say this too. How come no one else is really talking about Cindy? Did people forget that Cindy is an actual fighter? Or maybe people don't really like her that much? I guess so. But Cindy not save Jimmy's life when he was captured? You know, she destroyed the granny and things like that. You know, why not have her come in there and showcase her martial arts ability? She's a black belt and she has so much fighting potential. Cindy Vortex is definitely going to be a great fighter. I would definitely pick her up to be able to play as, and Jimmy Neutron. So maybe some other characters outside of them. Hopefully Hugh Neutron can make a return again. So hopefully they don't leave him into the first game and just decide to not bring him into the next game. I would like to see Sheen, and then I'm also throw in Ultra Lord. I would like to also see, even though they're not on here, there's just so many other characters that this list could have been a lot bigger than what it is right now. And then our most recent DLC was Rocco's Modern Life, and we only got Rocco. So hopefully he makes a return. And then from his show, I pulled Heifer. So I thought he could probably be a little bit of a tanky fighter. Even though he's going to be a little bit slow, he won't be as fast, but he'll be able to hit hard. And I think he'll be able to take some really good hits, similar to how Potter Toastman or PTM and Reptar do the most damage. And you just don't want them to make contact and hit you. So they'll be able to launch you a lot quicker. So I think Heifer is definitely deserving to be in this game. So those are just the most likely tabs, at least the most likely tier. It could have been a lot more characters I could have pulled, but I didn't want to put in all of them, you know, so many where this will be a giant list and it'll be like 2 hours long. But I'm going to try to speed through some of these. So now on to the possible characters, and I wanted to start with Fairly Odd Parents because I feel like there's still a possibility. It's just that slight chance with the door slightly being open a little bit more now that he got into that mobile game. I don't even understand how he got into that game. And some of you guys were explaining on the other video of how he can possibly get in all the different hoops that we have to jump through, where how some parts or certain seasons of Fairly Odd Parents were owned by Nickelodeon, but they don't own every part of it. And only certain portions of the show that they have rights to and the licensing and stuff like that. But I still see him as a possible character, or say a possible candidate to be able to get into the game. Fairly Odd Parents is definitely one of my favorite shows, and I just hope that he can be able to. They go after him first because he's such a big deal, and a lot of people want to see him in this game. And I'm not even kidding you. It's a lot of people who didn't even want to buy Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl because characters like Timmy and Jimmy weren't in the game. So why not go after him and make him high priority? And if I'm a dev or whatever, and calling the shots, I would definitely try to be gunning for him and try to get all these other characters alongside him. Vicky, the most powerful fairy himself that's from Fairy World, Jordan Von Strangle. And then I want to try to get Crimson Chan, then some other characters, Mr. Crocker, and just fairies, just his voice lines, and just it'll be so much fun to play with him. And then it's gonna be hilarious because you got all these unique characters and more villains, like iconic villains from him, like him from Mr. Crocker, to be able to get in. So hopefully, Fairly Odd Parents can be that 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 chance to just to be able to get in and be able to add to the roster. A lot of people will buy this game and the sales would just skyrocket. A lot of people would just even stop playing what they're playing just to go check it out and give this game a shot. You know, instead of just dropping it after a little bit, after a short period of time, well, it's not going to get anything and they'll just stop playing it. If they can get characters like him, they'll have more of a reason to purchase it and want to keep on playing it and look forward to what they have to bring to the future. Rocket Power, underrated shows, I'm going to start talking about them. Rocket Power for Otto, Chalk Zone, I don't see many people talk about. The Angry Beavers for Daggett and Norbert. So I put those characters in for some representation. Reggie Rocket can get in too. But Rocket Power, Chalk Zone, the Angry Beavers, and then Tough Puppy Zone, Dudley Puppy, and Kitty Caswell, As Told by Ginger, another underrated show. And then I don't see many people talk about Wings Club. Bloom and all the fairies on that team or on that show have a lot of powerful abilities. Bloom has the power of the Dragon Fire, so she'll definitely be easily one of the best characters alongside of El Tigre. The Adventures of Manny Rivera had to get him. And then some other shows that I recently got into, Harvey Beats, Fee and Foo, they could be a trio potentially. But maybe Harvey Beats would probably be his own character, solo, and then Fee and Foo could be a duo. I'm not sure how that could work. Sanjay and Craig, I like this show that I recently started watching, and you can see her face cut off. Bessie Hickenbottom from the Mighty Bee. So I want to see her get into the game, and then some newer shows like Big Nate. And then I also meant to slide in one more from Monster High, if you guys been watching that show, just all new shows that I heard about in modern shows. So not just thinking about the past shows, how about some of the modern shows to be able to make this game shine, like characters from Big Nate or Nate Wright, and then Monster High's Draculaura. So all that potential with the fighters, those are characters that could be possible, more than possible. And there's so many other shows that people bring up, like Fanboy and Chom Chom, like was I gonna say? Breadwinners. And I haven't seen the show, but people say it's one of the worst shows. Let's put them in the game. Let's get some characters, new characters in the game. So it'll be so much fun to see them added into the game. I'll pick them. But I wonder what they're gonna do. Throw bread? Something like that? I'm not sure. But anyway, I just wanted to play. But let's start wrapping it up. Less likely characters, and I want to see this character the most out of all live action characters, the Amazing Kreskin, and just like I already talked about a few times on the stream, and I even made a moveset for him of how I think he can play being a psychic magician. Easily one of the most unique characters that could be able to shine on this roster and stand out because he's a psychic magician. You don't have any other characters on this roster or in the NCU with those kind of abilities. Hypnosis, telekinesis, see what I'm saying? It goes on and on. Being able to hypnotize the opponent, stun them, and then just be able to, use all these different psychic abilities. It'll be a lot of fun playing as him. So hopefully, I hate to put him in a less likely, but it's just going to take longer to put these live action characters together, truth be told. But I definitely think he can get in because he's a Nickelodeon character from the 90s. Or a canon from the 90s. JoJo Siwa, I don't see her getting into this game. She could stay in the kart racers game. I like this character, but I don't see her in a fighting game or a platform fighter like Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. Nick Jr. characters, had to get a couple of those. I want to see those get into the game too, but I had to drop them in a less likely tier. Dora the Explorer, Bob the Builder, he starts smacking you with some of his tools and his hammer, stuff like that. It'll be funny to see him get into the game. Clues Blue, Wow Wow Wubsy, The Backyard Against, Pablo, Paw Patrols. The Paw Patrol can definitely be really good characters with all their abilities, and they're all unique. And they can become super pups for their ultimate attacks as ideas. So I just slipped in Marshall, Peppa Pig, Anybody seen Meg and the Ferocious Beast? I grew up watching the show. I had to get Goku because that's going to be tough, super tough, and that's a stretch and a reach trying to get Goku in this game. But Dragon Ball Z Kai did air on Nickelodeon, so maybe that's just a slight chance. But I still don't seeing that happening by some part, anytime soon in the future. Sonic the Hedgehog, I had to get him in his little Sonic Adventure pose. It's one of my favorite games. Po from Kung Fu Panda. All the abilities for these characters and all the potential. Just take a look. And then I just dropped the Transformers logo for Optimus Prime, maybe Megatron or Bumblebee, but they could possibly get one of these Transformer characters from Transformers Earthspark, Nickelodeon's own show. I don't know who else is in that show though that they could probably get. And then I had to pay tribute to the Green Ranger, one of my favorites, Tommy, or just the Power Rangers in general, as less likely characters that they can get. So third-party characters, live-action characters, Nick Jr. characters, less likely. But I want to see some of those characters get in because if they can get one of these characters in, whether they live-action Nick Jr. character or a third party, you got a great game on your hand with so much of a brighter, bigger future, and you have ongoing content that can keep people playing, keep people excited. They won't get bored, and they won't drop the game so easily. You got a lot of characters that they can look forward to for these updates. But that's it. I just wanted to do a little tier list. Let me know what you guys think in the comments and react to it how you want to. If you want to add in some other characters that you think belong in some of these characters, these categories for these tiers, you can drop your own list. You can make a short version or a long version. I'll be able to check them out in the comments throughout today. But I just wanted to try something that I never did before. And I never thought I would do a tier list. But of course, you will never see a tier. I'm going to say it right now. You wouldn't see a tier list with S tier to A tier to B tier, C tier. I'm not a competitive player. I just like to have fun and play and create content and share my ideas for the game itself and have fun, win or lose, and just laugh. But I would not make those kind of tier list videos with those, S tier and stuff like that. This is just the kind of tier list that I would probably just end up doing for certain games, for other games too. But I wanted to try my hand with my own little tier list for a little bit of a surprise. And I didn't want to spoil it to anyone, so everybody could be able to see my own little tier list. But you can react to it how you want to. I definitely think this tier list could be a lot bigger for sure. But I just wanted to try to make something a little bit of a tier list with some of the characters that I can definitely see possibly making it and being more than likely to get into the sequel if there is one. It could be a different game, but we just don't know what's happening yet. So let me know what you guys think about this tier list and maybe some other characters that you could possibly see happening and maybe some of the changes that you would probably make to this tier list, if any.